The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Is Africa truly poor? Like the way we are projected in the Western media to the whole world? Do Africans live on the mercy of other people, on aid? For decades, the African grew up hearing one song from the Western media. Africa is a poor continent. Africa needs to be supported whenever there is global outrage or a pandemic. The first people they think about is Africa, especially when the recent Iran-US war broke out. We heard the noise, even from the African chairperson, that this thing is going to affect Africans the most if nothing is done. So the African came to believe that we are the ones that are always at the mercy of other people. What if this is not true? France has projected itself to be a developed nation to the world. But do you know they live on paycheck to paycheck? According to the panel discussion, France has been borrowing for over 50 years now to pay its debt. And they never pay from this borrowing. And that the taxpayers always pay taxes. But things are not adding up. But the same France is in Africa, recently in Kenya, telling us how they are raising over 20 billion to support the African initiative. The same France is telling the whole world how they need to support Africa and how they were supporting Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, especially because they have to send their mercenaries to make sure they provide them with security. The amount of money we are paying. And at the end of the day, Macron said we are ungrateful. We need to say thank you because without them, wouldn't have been able to do anything. So if this same nation is borrowing for over 50 years from one place to the other, paying their debt, yet they have never been able to repay their debt, who is poor and who is rich? They never have plan B. Plan A has always been Africa. And that is why when we are rising to reclaim our resources, to reclaim our narrative, to be independent, they just cannot allow Africa to be. Why? Because if Africa becomes independent, we will cut the supply chain.
We are on the brink of catastrophe. They're not just on the brink of catastrophe, but now we are overwhelmed by the consequences of our carelessness. We must keep 2 or 3 things in mind that I believe this book explains, and that which is almost never explained, because no one explains. We talk about the debt, but no one ever explains what it is, how it came about. For 50 years, no budget has been passed in balance in France. 50 years. 74, and especially from 81. No balanced budget. We borrow every year to repay or compensate for our deficits. But for 50 years, we have never repaid a single euro of the amounts we borrow. And not only that, now this burden is so heavy. But for those listening to us, they know well that there is a debt problem. But they say to themselves, it's for a long time from now. It's for later. Today, it's no longer like that. Today, it's a submersion, like a rising tide. And now, perhaps, listen carefully, it's worth hearing. All those who listen to us, all the households that pay income tax, they look when they go out into the street at their compatriots, their fellow taxpayer citizens. And they look at each of them. Everyone pays income tax to next year. Next year, the total income tax paid by all French households will not be enough to pay the interest on the debt.
Only the interest on the debt.
Only the interest. That means that the work of the French, the creativity of the French, all that is sent to our creditors. And our creditors, who are they? For 2/3 of them, they are foreigners. I say neighbors or distant ones.
And life is a journey, say. God gave everyone a brain to think. Let's listen to the video, and he shared it 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Let's listen to the video.
So in response to that, they speak by saying that it was the territory of their ancestors colonized by Mali. It's interesting. the notion of colonization by Mali was already very significant. They never spoke of French colonization. So it's not by chance because precisely the Canadians never took a stand against French colonization. From that moment, I was forced to take a stand, not for political reasons, but for scientific reasons. There has never been a chieftaincy, nor a kingdom, nor an empire of Azawad. I say never, never.
How can you talk? It's a creation of imperialism. You were talking about Mali.
It's significant. It means it's a space you can control with armed forces, military forces. That has never been the case. So in response to that, there was a surge, including in the media. Practically all the media, gave the microphone to all these people who are ultra-minority.
The media propaganda,
including in their cultural community.
But what is the demographic composition of Azawad?
The demographic composition? Well, I wouldn't say demographic because I don't have precise data on demographics. However, I have very precise data on the cultural communities that occupy this space called Azawad, which is fabricated by the Arab Berber armed groups. It's interesting because the entirety of this area, the northern part of Mali, is the only place in Mali where you encounter all the ethnic groups of Mali. All the ethnic groups of Mali. So I don't see why an ultra-minority group would want to impose his political notion of the territory on all of these populations. In terms of demography, since you mentioned the term demography, in terms of statistics, they are also ultra-minorities compared to the Songhai, compared to other sedentary groups, compared to the Bozo, compared to the Fulani, including also compared to the Bambara. So it has no real political significance. And that's why I say it's a political fabrication that is part of the propaganda used by the armed rebel groups.
Nevertheless, the Tuareg movements have been claiming Azawad since the 1960s. What is this claim based on? Is it legitimate?
No, but that an armed group claims the territory. It's the gang. It's their problem. Referring to a history that doesn't exist. I say it's manipulation. It's imposture.
We see no historical legitimacy.
I clearly say that's why earlier I said it's a fabrication. It's an imposture. So I, as a researcher, cannot accept an imposture and an instrumentalization.
So before you, an African, you think that you are poor because they always make it look like they are the ones that are helping Africa. We have to go for World Bank loans, IMF loans in order to develop anything. And our leaders are dancing to the song because before our leaders do anything, they must go and borrow for road construction, for anything at all we want to do. So because of that, the African has lived to understand that when it comes to the Western world, they have everything that they need. We are only poor and we need their help. But a lot is happening there that we don't know. Now, thanks to social media, we can get to know everything that is happening around them. If France is borrowing from one place to the other to pay debt, how then can France help Africa? How then can Europe help Africa? Africa needs itself, not any other person. We are the only people the world is projecting to be poor, yet we are the richest. We have everything beneath us. We don't understand what we have because we are never taught what we have. We are taught what kind of education is the highest mountain in Africa, the highest mountain in the world. What has the highest mountain got to do with us? And not what resources we have. How to refine our resources, how to add value, how to mine. We have resources here, yet we don't do mining here. The kind of education that we need, they are not giving. Yet we are giving things that wouldn't add value to the African. So the time for you and I to understand that you need yourself, you are the richest, is now. How can you be taking your resources out in the raw form, people add value, bring it to us, and then we see them to be the genius. We give money to other people while we continue to remain poor. People preach how well they are to us. People project themselves to be wealthy and project the African continent to the rest of the world to be the poorest. We have the same Macron in Africa, Ghana currently in Accra. And Macron is going to give a speech, lecture us. And I like the way the brave two ladies from Burkina Faso made it clear to Macron, we are not poor people. And there's no way Europe is helping Africa. They are only making sure they increase the debt in Africa because the aid that they give to us do not develop Africa, and they can never develop Africa, and Africa must be developed by itself. So how do people who are living on paycheck to paycheck, depending on debt, save us. Be the ones to help Africa. If France is in debt, like the report says, every second their debt increases by $3,000. So how can a nation like that help you, the African? If we are truly ready to be independent, we will lend to the world. Africa, everybody depends on us. The moment you rise up, take control over the resources, take control over everything, they lose everything. We need to know people for who they are and know ourselves for who we are. Africa is not poor. We are not poor. Like people are saying, like sometimes we hear our brothers and sisters in the diaspora calling Africa poor. But you live on paycheck to paycheck. So how do you, the person living on paycheck to paycheck, see somebody who depends on cash to be poor? We need to understand that this is a systematic plan to keep you, the African, in bondage. So you can never truly know your world. You can never truly know what you have, the power in you. So we need to rise and understand that we are the richest and break away from the chains. We must change the narrative, and this generation must take it upon itself to do that. We cannot continue to allow slavery to be an inheritance for our generations to come. If people are living on debt, moving from one place to the other to borrow to pay to survive, then why then do we think such a nation can be the one that will save us? If they have any help, I think they need it better than Africa. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Europe and in France.